do not try to fight fire with fire against SK Telecom.
Yeah.
I think that they need to round out their draft differently for Kingzone. Now, SKT going to be on the blue side. They don't have to ban the Lissandra, Zoe, and whatnot anymore.
Nope, and it's Kingzone's job to ban Lucian. Most likely Ezreal, but we've seen Deft punish Ezreals as well, theoretically. So Teddy's also more of a slow-moving Ezreal player, a phenomenal Ezreal player, absolutely up there with the best of the LCK. However, he does tend to play more slowly and just comes online as a hyper carry in the late game, positioning fantastically well, and gets through the laning phase, buying Iceborne Gauntlet, Ninja Tabi, things like that to weather the storm. Sylas going to be the first ban here, as SKT have, like you say, a lot more flexibility, and the Lucian going to be the answer.
Now, if you're SK Telecom, okay, they're banning away the Rise. So this could be signaling that they want a Lissandra pick, especially if you anticipate that Kingzone will ban away the Zoe, and now Kingzone probably going to ban away the Ezreal now as well.
They could, or they could leave it available and leave the Lissandra available as well, and either pick it away or pick it up, you know? Jace is also available, Vladimir is also available. As far as power picks for these teams, it's actually ridiculous. We could see third-round picks being first pickable champions as LeBlanc the final ban on SKT's side, as it is Pawn's champion pool that they are digging their heels into.
Yeah. And now, if you're Kingzone, you ban Lissandra, you give away Ezreal, you ban away Ezreal, you give away
so you
Lissandra.
ban Jace, and then you guarantee that you get a couple of those picks.
You can get now Ezreal or Lissandra. And it looks like SK Telecom, they're willing to go up against Def's Ezreal.
They are. And if Lissandra gets locked in here, Kingzone get to do another thing where they just pick up the Tahm Kench, give it to Tucson, and have that Ezreal Tahm Kench lane to deny the Frozen Tomb ability onto the carries. That's what I would certainly do.
Get this out of the way already. Let's just see Ezreal. No, that's not Ezreal.
That's the first in the English alphabet. It's not the first in the Korean alphabet, as that is going to be Aatrox Kalista locked in immediately.
All right, so what I think that they're going to do is they're going to hand over the Ezreal Tahm Kench or the Ezreal Galio, potentially, to SKT, and then they think about maybe just going...
Thresh pick.
I mean, or SK Telecom, they could try to be like, okay, you want to play this game? We can go... Never mind, they're not going to do that. I was gonna say they could do DragonX, they could do Draven Thresh to try to steal away. They could try to pick a power pick down there in bottom lane, have priority mid, priority bot, and then pick a very aggressive jungler and play right centric while putting Khan on an island in a 1v1 matchup up in the top lane. But instead, they're looking to get the Thomas Kench, and coupling it with a Vladimir is very interesting. So, it seems like they do not want to fall victim to the Tahm Ezreal against the Kalista Thresh or Kalista Galio, and now that's really strange, as if SK Telecom's not willing to pick up Ezreal right here, I would have to actually assume that it's not what they're thinking about trying to get. So Kingzone allocating a ban to it, but I really don't think that it was on SKT's mind.
No, not necessarily, and this could mean that Teddy's playing the Vladimir as well. I mean, there's still a lot of flexibility available. SKT almost priced in to banning Galio Thresh at this particular mark as the Varus to be taken away. So there was an opportunity to ban the possible Draven pickup, but Deft feeling confident into that pick.
Let's see if Teddy actually wants to try to play Draven. I think that Thresh being banned here by SKT would make the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, we saw this last time around, and as soon as you pick up Kalista and don't pick a support, then you generally get those two banned away. Braum is still there, and that is another option that does work, and also a good pick into the Tahm Kench.
I actually wouldn't mind if they just get their mid laner out of the way right now, and that's a very beautiful mid laner, mostly because it is still able to be potentially flexed to the support role.
True.
And so there is some deception that is still going on.
Teddy thinking about his 80 carry pick certainly has a lot of options available for this lane.
I don't think that you can actually go Kai'Sa. You already have 3 sources of very heavy magic damage on your team.
And speaking of heavy sources of physical damage, Sivir certainly fits that one, as this is the Kalista counter from the jungle that we've been talking about all season long, the Nocturne. remains available. But another one that can work, I guess, theoretically, is the Jarvan. Just knock her up, jump on top of her, and hope that you can get enough damage done before she hops away. And the Jarvan is locked in for Klid. Certainly a comfort pick for him. Had his Lee Sin available, but decided doesn't want to hop on that champion. Jarvan hoping to go toe-to-toe with this Kingzone lineup a little bit more effectively, and that's going to be the Alistar paired with the Kalista, another champion that does work well in this duo. And with Fate's Call available, Tucson is going to have all the agency in the world. And Deft is so used to playing this combo. Deft was... I'll tell you a bit of a story about Deft and Kalista. When Kalista first came out, he was in the LPL, and Deft tried it a few times. He was woeful. Absolutely terrible. One of the worst Kalista players that we had in the league at the time. And then he put the hours in and became the guy that you had to ban it against next to Uzi. There were two players in the LPL that you had to get rid of it against. It was Uzi and Deft. And Deft is still phenomenal on that champion. He was with Mako, who was the cow player. Then he was with Marta, the cow player. He plays with cows all the time. The Alistar and the Kalista are a very storied matchup for this man.
Alistar's a bull.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just say cow because I think it's the name of the species.
I love it.
So,
we're gonna
sorry,
take
Nick. Do you need me to repeat everything I said? Did you miss it because you were just focusing on that? Or
No,
I can go back if you want.
We're going to take a look at the team comps. Vladimir, Jarvan, Lissandra, Sivir, and Thomas Kench. A very extremely explosive engage coming out after Sivir casts on the Hun. Lissandra and Vladimir, Jarvan, they're all going in at once. And that's the type of thing that they're looking to do. But on the flip side, this team composition, Kalista, Alistar, Zillion, Aatrox, and then up there in the top lane is Yorick. This team composition operates very strong in a 1-3-1 scenario, very difficult to actually hold down the Zillion, but in a straight-up team fighting scenario, Zillion can provide a lot of CC and utility, and Kalista can be very hard to hold down.
And also, SKT have a very I want to blow up one person and move on type composition, and Chrono Shift really ruins that. We'll see whether it works in Game 2. Full house here at Lowell Park for game number 2, SKT versus Kingzone. This is a huge matchup. And remember, if Kingzone wanted to leapfrog SKT on the standings, they required a 2-0 victory. Now, they're playing for their chance to even things out, and SKT are playing for the chance to catch up to Sandbox and extend their lead, create some distance here in what is a very muddy top 5 that we have, not including the #1 spot because Griffin never loses.
Starting things off, I just want to point out the Summoner spell and rune choice there for the Zillion. He has the spellbook with the cleanse, but what this allows Faker to end up doing, utilize the teleport and the corrupting potion star. Interesting, there's no minion dematerializer, however, on the side for him this game.
Yeah, I wonder what he spec'd into outside of the resolve tree.
You know, you just said spec, and I just got good memories of vanilla World of Warcraft. You know, and now I'm sad. Thank you.
I'm sorry, man. Yeah, that.
No problem. So, Lissandra can play very aggressively in the lane, try to attack Pawn's mana pool, and that should be the way that Lissandra conducts this lane, is endlessly crashing the waves into the turret, making Pawn use his bombs to CS or have a very difficult time CSing just with auto attacks. Faker gets a fantastic ward.
Yeah,
Level 1, he's going to come in here. Yeah, sure, eat the bomb. You don't care about your HP. You have 3 corrupting potions. Cue the wave.
Okay, we are...
There we go.
Are you coaching Faker right now? Is that what you're doing? Are you seriously coaching Faker right now? Are you allowed to do that?
You know.
I don't know whether that's allowed.
I like what he's doing right here, actually. The minions are taking odd amounts of damage, which can make them a little bit more difficult to CS when underneath the turret.
Actually creates sort of a weird, almost close to deny mechanic if you're going against a Zillion. One way to play against it is there's Headbutt Pole, and there's Devour. That's how this matchup is going to go. As Teddy uses his Spell Shield for no reason, so that is a cooldown that they will need to keep their eye on. Teddy not actually able to get any mana back for it, which is actually the big deal. Klid moving out onto the map, looking for a Rift Skull at the bottom side, and isn't going to have to deal with any wards that are down, as Faker, like you say, using his health bar as a resource, shoving this wave relentlessly. buys space, buys time, and buys opportunity for Clid to get whatever he wants here on this map on the Jarvan. Pawn hasn't been ganked yet, though, so that's great news. It ticked over to 3 minutes.
Ooh. Misses out on actually a Demolish proc, I guess not wanting to get hit by a QWQ from Zilean.
Yep, Clid now on the bottom side of the map is going to be able to grab the Gromp that was not eaten by Cuz. But unfortunately for Clid, he does have to kill it. That's just a full clear coming through minus the Gromp because as he goes back home, we'll be able to augment what he's picked up with a couple of long swords, as you can see.
What this ends up meaning now at this point in time is that Lissandra is recalling. She has the teleport available, but Pawn is still extremely healthy, and he only has 2 minutes that he would need to sustain until the teleport would be able to come online via the spellbook, and so he elects to stay in the lane. Faker teleporting now.
Yep, and so pretty comfortable here is the Zilean. He's going to be able to revert back to the cleanse very comfortably also. As Tucson going to use his minion dematerializer to keep this wave pushing forward. Bottom side of the map, you can see Deft is actually having a great time as far as farm is concerned, but with this wave crashing forward, Teddy is going to keep things relatively even. So as far as disparities are concerned, last game it was bottom lane went out of control well for Kingzone. Mid lane got completely slaughtered by SKT, as did the top side of the map, and so things were decided very early on. This one, certainly a much more even game as we start things off. And as the game goes on, of course, you're looking at Vladimir and Siva. If this game hits 50 minutes, I don't know how anyone wins against those two champions. And we'll see whether Kingzone can take control of the mid game, which is where they want to get work done.
I think that we're going to have an extremely boring early game.
Oh, no.
That is the feeling that I'm getting right now.
Do you know what's really frustrating? Because we already gave the viewers the one thing that
Cuz hurt us. Cuz hurt us.
All right, looking to come on forward as Faker just claws his way out. We'll take bomb damage. There we go. Bit of damage there for Pawn. No worries there at all. Wave will be tidied up very easily. As popcorn chicken's consumed for Cuz. So as you were saying, slow game, and I was exclaiming that I was upset that we gave away the fact that Rift Herald's full name is Shelley Rivers, because that was our spicy tidbit that we were holding on to.
in set 2. Can't lie to Twitch chat.
Yeah, you can't lie for too long, apparently. Well, it's not lie, it's just holding on to information.
Eventually they figure out, right?
Yeah.
One time I was sitting in the living room as a kid, and was asked what I wanted from the gas station. And I waited there forever.
Oh, no.
To get my soda, and it never came back.
What soda did you ask for?
I asked for Mountain Dew.
Right. Was Mountain Dew available in your state? Like perhaps
yes,
it was
Code
long...
Red. Are you a fan of Code Red?
I'm Australian. So we didn't have it. Sorry.
All right.
Kanhimo plagues the wave. Top side of the map.
Doesn't Australia still have Surge?
Nope.
No.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know. I'm not much of a soda man, because, you know, I struggled with my weight as a kid, so soda was definitely the wrong move.
Wait a second. Hold on. What special sodas does Australia have? Because in Korea, all that you have is Pepsi, Sprite, and Coca-Cola.
Well, we got Coke, Pepsi, and then a random assortment of weird brand cola that's very cheap. That's generally what we have.
Is America the only country that has all the weird soda flavors?
Maybe. We struggle to get Dr. Pepper in Australia.
Really?
Yeah.
Oof.
So,
what about root beer?
Yeah, no, we don't get root beer.
What is wrong with us?
Well,
Actually,
we understand that soda is the main reason for obesity, so we move away from that problem as much as we can. That being said, that's a misguided stat for a lot of people that say that Americans are overweight. Australia per capita are more overweight, actually, as Clid flags and drags his way out of Cuz, and Pawn continues to try and speed himself up away from death as Rascal takes his enemy blue buff on the top side of the map with the lane priority he picked up.
Well, can you pay attention to what is happening right here? Oh, that just missed.
Nada got pulled back, and then a blue was stolen. As top side of the map, Faker loses half of his health bar, but I think things were going okay for him outside of that. He's focusing on where this blue was going. His vision is going to spot Tucson, who doesn't have Unbreakable Will just yet.
Let me slow things down for you.
You can slow things down. Yeah, I think
I'm
that's what the series is moving
pun.
towards.
I'm not trying to make a zillion pun here, right? I'm not trying to freeze you. But what's going to happen here is that Clid will go back, eat his golems, his wraiths, and then the scuttle crab because the Aatrox will go to his red buff. We're going to continue to have a gentleman's agreement in every single lane, and you and I are going to talk about something that isn't the game.
All right, how much designated time do we have? Because I feel like this is good. We get a time window to let us know what's going on. As Tucson says, absolutely no to that one. Headbutt Pulp comes in. Grey Health is eaten. Fate's Call comes down as well. It follows the flash of Martyr as Teddy has absolutely no mana. Rend is expended, though, and Kingzone just going to get a lot of pressure, and Clid takes a dragon. Over to you, LS.
Well, see, you were getting excited. You thought something else was going to happen, but in the end, it was just a trade.
Hey, but we could have pretended. I mean, at least champions were hitting other champions. That's cool.
Is it?
I don't know. I guess I don't know violence or anything like that. Yeah, I knew where you were going. Is Faker not going to get stunned before he takes the claw out? He's going to be absolutely fine. Khan's getting pushed in, but he's having no trouble when it comes to turret plates or his own health bar or the CS margin. So the Yorick certainly not doing a Jace thing to him. As I actually didn't realize that's what happened with Blood Moon Zillion, where it eclipses and then the bomb goes off. It's actually a really cool looking little visual cue.
I never actually get to see interactions like this, because even when I'm wearing my glasses, my right eye is blind, basically. So, fine details in the game, I actually can't see. Like, I have to really look for it. You know what I mean?
All right, you have to focus.
Yeah, I have to focus
heavily on it. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Feels bad.
Lack of being bifocal. Thankfully, I mean, the screen is 2D, so therefore you don't have the bifocal factor of having that sort of extra vision is not an issue for you. So don't worry, things are fine. You're in the right line of work, my friend. Khan, the Maiden, not going to cause too much trouble there, as Rascal just wants to complete his Trinity Force and continue being a top laner. Good stuff.
Finally.
Clid's got a lot of Rift Scuttlers this game.
Is going down right now. How do you feel?
Oh, poor Scuttle Rivers.
And Shelly Rivers is being taken by Jarvan.
Yeah, just going to follow us under the grave by the looks of things, or at least into the back pocket of a Kingzone player, is Clid. Looking to try and lock down Deft here on the bottom side. Flash immediately used as he's trying to dart out, but it's going to be First Blood, and it's going to go over to Teddy. Tucson has the Unbreakable Will, but I don't know whether it's named correctly as he lasts a long time, but it's still a double kill for the Sivir.
That was a fantastic execution by SKT down there in the bottom. They're going to be able to get so many plates as Yorick, Julia, Aatrox, and Zillion make their way to mid lane with Shelly Rivers.
Shelly Rivers and Julia together should be able to raise this mid tier 1 turret though, and this theoretically could be a win for Kingzone. You can see up on the score screen, I mean, money-wise, it's certainly not working just yet, but after this First Blood turret comes in, and also all the map control they're going to gain, this does feel like a pretty good thing.
Yeah, this definitely isn't that bad for Kingzone. They even get a second charge on the Herald there into the mid-tier 2 turret. And one of the things I love talking about is how important the mid-tier 1 turret is when you have wave-clear mid laners like Azir, Victor, Lissandra, Orianna, etc. But first, we take a look at this replay and just watch it how they all juggle the aggro. Everyone actually took part in that trade.
We can't watch it because
Dev,
Teddy's flashing to try and murder a Callista. Tucson's able to get out, but Khan's underneath the turret trying to get some steak for dinner, and he should be able to do so very easily. That Crimson Rush did repugnant amounts of damage, and that's his turret going down.
When a Vladimir takes a bite out of an Alistar, is it an Edward Cullen? I've never read the books. I'm done.
Yeah,
okay, you know what? That about sums up your response
I've been trying not to admit that I read Twilight for a long time, okay? So don't pose those questions.
Whatever happened to those actors? They just dropped off the face of the planet.
I don't know, he did a bit of work. He was also Cedric Diggory.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and that happened before he was Edward Cullen. To me, he's always been Cedric Diggory.
All right.
As this is an attempt at saving the life of Deft from Tucson that went awry because there were too many members of SKT. Tucson flashes to try and escape and still gets Hemo plagued. He still gets murdered by the Hemomancer on the bottom side of the map, and this is where Kingzone are trying to get advantages elsewhere. But I actually really love this from SKT. They noted that Kingzone has solo lanes that aren't so great at winning the game. They've got a bottom lane that's exceptional at winning the game. So remove that from the equation, and then Kingzone has a big struggle to try and work out what their identity is.
The Zilean here in the game, I mean, he's keeping up for the most part in the CS department, even though Faker is all over the place on this map. And the Yorick as well keeping up in the CS department, but the real story is that the bottom lane for Kingzone is falling so far behind, and the whole point of the Zilean is to really amplify the Kalista and provide CC for her, don't allow the actual threats to get onto her, and if they do, revive her so that in the extended fight she can be super powerful. The Yorick will not come online until a little bit later on in the game, and so Kingzone are going to find themselves in a little bit of a pickle, but they can take some comfort in knowing that a Cloud Drake was the second one that was rolled.
That's true. So another double Cloud Drake coming in for SKT is another death for deft underneath this turret. Hemoplague does come in, it doesn't kill, but Sanguine Pool is there, and Khan not going to die today.
Jarvan even able to get an assist there.
Actually, I tell a lie. I mean, he might die today, but hasn't died yet in this series. That is a terrifying...
That is really weird.
What?
I thought Kallista's like a ghost.
Oh, is this... Wait, no, this is Korean client, Chinese client. Yeah, Chinese client has some weird, strange things when it comes to skeletons and stuff like that, so the game had to be slightly changed.
Okay.
But I didn't know that that was what happened in the Korean client as well, as Teddy not going to get infernally chained this time around, and Tucson not going to be able to get the cannon creep either, so everyone's tilted. It also ruins that CS for Deft underneath the turret, who's desperately trying to escape this horrible time. 0-3-0 on the Kalista, not having a great time at all, and he's just desperate to find somewhere to farm.
Doesn't look like he is having the best of times right now. He ends up going down there to Khan inside of the side lane, and this game is looking extremely different from game number 1, where this time the Kingzone bottom lane is in the grave, and it's going to be on the other teammates to try to pull them out of it. Infernal Drake will be the next dragon to spawn, and, you know, normally, I'm someone that is very negative towards Cloud Drakes and Open Drakes, but interestingly enough, for this team comp, having 2 of them really does help with the Sivir, Jarvan, and Vlad getting that engaged. Lissandra, it's more about positioning. You have to already just be in the right place.
And it doesn't speed up your claw,
right? It doesn't speed up your claw.
What you want to be using.
So, fortunately though, for the other members, it is quite massive.
Yeah. Well, you can see, Pawn able to give some experience over to Cuz. That's working nicely, and Deft, once again, is on his own, having to deal with a cavalcade of SKT members trying to close in. Feels like even underneath the turret is not safe as Hex Flash from Tucson as he makes his way forward. Actually, Nox cleared out, but Marta's there, and Cuz, he's investing into this one. The World Ender was used, but has to turn around. Abyssal Voyage towards the bottom side of the map. Marta continuing to move forward. Dark Procession is down. Marta is now inside the baby cage, but he's just going to eat the Yorick. The Maiden doing some work. Julia, can you save your dad? The answer is no, as Jarvan just puts him in the ground, and immediately Julia says, I'm following you, I love you. And she does.
I wonder how Julia felt watching Tom just put his mouth all over Yorick.
Oh, don't talk about it. Adding insult to injury. It's just, he's already dead. Stop it, he's already dead. No, we will have to see it again in the replay.
I am so looking forward to it, as we're seeing Tushin come over here, try to get a combo on World Ender cast by Cuz, but it's all going to be for naught. As immediately after this, the Abyssal Voyage was brought down into bottom lane. Rascal gets exhausted right away to reduce all of the damage, and then this is just, that's a Pikachu JPEG if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
When Yorick just got picked up while the Maiden was attacking Jarvan, she just looked to the left, and that's it, that's the JPEG.
Yeah, I know exactly the one you're talking about as well, and it's only made me more sad. You know what also makes me sad? 17.5-minute Rod of Ages for Pawn, as he completes that one. Looking for this game to go another 10 minutes is actually a pretty scary prospect right now, because SKT are looking like a very different beast to what we've seen in their previous series. They dropped a game to Genji earlier on. They lost to Damwon Gaming. And then there was Jin Air and Genji again, which were victories, but not exactly ones that are going to convince us that this team is going to be able to challenge Griffin in a final or things like that. This SKT, though, is playing rings around Kingzone, and it's not because they're better mechanically, like what we talk about when we're praising what Sandbox is capable of, but this is just being smarter than them, and then also having the mechanics to back it up. That's the kind of League of Legends you want to see. That's the exciting stuff from the LCK, because we want to see the best players in the world play on the best teams in the world, because coaching staff is what this region is known for. We're known for having smarter plays and better players, but that was proven wrong. 2018, wanting to try and come back, and this kind of SKT play is something that demonstrates that we still have it in us.
45 seconds until the Dragon. Faker going to be able to pick up the top tier 1 turret before that and rotating down. Interested to see if he'll try to push one more wave. If he can end up doing that and causing the crash into the turret, it'll cause the top lane to bounce back, so that after post-Drake, one of the carries will be able to make their way up to the top tier 1 turret to collect on the ATM.
Yeah, all that sweet cash money that's just conga lining towards them. Faker safely gets out. Dragon going to be spawning, like you say, 20 seconds time. Cuz in position, they do manage to get some vision down as the ward is going to regain its eyesight.
Faker now getting the blue buff, it seems, before the Dragon. Now, because he has teleport, he might go back up to top lane and just keep trying to shove instead. And this is primarily because Zilean had gone up there, cleared out the wave, got it resetting. And that's a interesting teleport ward location there for Faker. Not sure if he'll end up taking that or...
One waiting all the way behind. This is the first time we've seen a 5v5. Yeah, teleport is going to come in from Faker. It's going to be cleared that locks down the Infernal Drake as Rascal is just obliterated in the backline. Deft has to flash so incredibly early. World Ender is in there, Khan continuing to keep himself alive, and Tucson, he's mincemeat, bottom side of the map. This time Deft doesn't fall first, but he has to watch everybody else die, and Clid's going to be able to get that flash knock up. Deft against the world. Feels like the identity of Kingzone. It's not enough against SKT.
Yeah, and that fight would just probably going to be the straw that broke the camel's back this game, as can't imagine a world where a 10,000 gold lead at 20 minutes with an Infernal Drake and a sport comp is somehow going to be able to mess this up.
Yeah, I have a feeling that SKT should be able to navigate this one to a win. The Zilean's on the top side of the map. He's trying to get some sort of farm. And that's not going to help you stack your Rod of Ages any faster. That thing is probably not going to come online this game if it continues on its current trajectory. It's just sad we're not seeing the same Kingzone that had such incredible performances over the last 3 matches. This is the Kingzone that we know and love, the one that honestly has had only consistency issues as this season has gone on. We know what they're capable of, but it's just unable to work as we're looking at this.
Damage from Vladimir with the Hemoplague, just able to do so much to Rascal, and then right there, just chipping him right at the very end. Faker able to get onto Deft. Deft ulted way too early by Pawn with the Zilean ult, completely wasting it.
I didn't actually see where the Zilean ult went, as Pawn realizes that he just has to get the hell out of dodge. Not a lot of opportunities there as Faker tries to chase him down, unable to find him. He's pretty fast. But when everyone dies around you, still 100% bad news.
You know what, Atlas? I actually think that we have a relatively close game on our hands.
Oh, yeah.
And by that, I mean that the SK Telecom team champions are very close to Kingzone's.
That's true.
See?
And as a team gets further and further ahead...
Look at how close.
Yeah, this is about as close as an Alistair ever wants to be to a Sivir, unless he's winning. And Tucson's not. Has to use his ultimate. Really sad times. Cuz does find Clid, who's going to get himself out of there. Faker doesn't follow the claw. We've got a lot of bombs hanging around the area. It's Kingzone now desperate to hold on to their base. Baron is going to be the next thing on the menu for SKT, and I just don't know what this Kingzone composition is going to be able to do. Khan, once again, we'll see whether he can do the improbable against Rascal, as he's still holding on to the pull. It is still there, remember. As the ultimate going to be used very, very early onto Rascal. Is it going to time out before anything else as Cuz comes on in? And that's chrono shift value completely irrelevant once again. And once again, a dead Deft. There is a lot of deja vu this game.
What just happened? Does he get one shot? I obviously I wanna see a replay of what just ended up happening to Deft there in the mid lane as Faker taking more damage from the top tier 2 turret than ever from a Kingzone member this game.
Hopefully we can put the turrets on the damage graph so we can at least get a decent number. As that's the base broken, no Baron required, and all 3 turrets going down at the same time. Clip feels like a carry at this point in time. Cuz feels like free food walking around this map. You can see that health bar not looking too big at this point in time. No inhibitors are going to fall just yet, but SKT, they're in no rush.
Not too much for Kingzone to do at this point, as they have to just wait inside of their base and to keep farming endlessly. We take a look at this replay, and this is a pretty prime example of how far ahead Khan is of Rascal. Yorick not able to do anything to him in the isolated one-on-one. Pawn says, I'm helping with the Zillion, because I'm just going to have to sit there on the sidelines and watch, as there was no way once the Abyssal Voyage and Teddy came into play. And let's take a look at what ended up happening to Deft here. Oh, wow. Oh.
It was E, Q, R, auto attack, dead. That's what happened.
Moment of silence.
Oh wait, he may have pressed D.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he might have used his old Smite Arena.
Okay. Well, Faker.
Yeah, Fate's Call going to come in,
away.
and he's got a claw. Going to be completely fine as Rascal just throws Julia into the opponent to die.
Oh my, that's the closest thing to Thanos and Gamora I've ever seen.
I know, right? This is just not what you're looking for, as Clid gets knocked out of his EQ, but Faker says he's okay with it, dives right into the enemy team, still has his ultimate, still has his Zhonya's, still has so many options as he's keeping them busy. Marta even going to get the Devour off now as Deft is going to die off the back end. Teddy comes forward. AoE damage aplenty here for SKT. And Rascal has no hope. Pawn's running away on the top side. Cuz running away on the bottom side. He can't do it. It's going to be Teddy picking up that kill very easily. And now Rascal, where are we going? This is what happens when you throw Julia to the wolves. And SKT should be able to follow this up with a victory. 15-0. This is a slaughtering from SKT, to quote Tryndamere.
Yeah. This is going to be 2 inhibitors definitely going down. And then I expect that they just make it out down through the bottom.
They're going to stagger the backs by killing Pawn here as well, who's a Zillion with a spellbook that has now given him a ghost as he looks to clear out minion wave after minion wave. He certainly will have the opportunity to do so. He can run pretty fast, eat some honey fruit on his way through.
Really surprised to see that Teddy actually didn't elect to try to go onto him, but nonetheless, this is going to be a Cloud Drake being picked up.
Number 3.
Not all that... Well, here we go. We're going to take another quick look at this. Clid almost managed to get locked up entirely by Tushin, but then Faker and friends wanted to turn the tides on this as Faker comes over the wall, blocks up Cuz, and then Deft and Clid in the isolated one-on-one. Garvin told that Callista, you know, you like being impaled. Well, that's a pretty good skill shot right there.
Drop a flag on him. That'll do it. But honestly, this is SKT smacking Kingzone with their wallets.
They're just so far ahead.
Yeah, it's just ludicrous. You can see Khan gets so much health back with each of these transfusions. Extra movement speed, even flashes for no reason there as well. Just wants to throw out as many buttons as possible to show that he's doing something. And now Kingzone have to try and defend against this SKT force that looks completely unstoppable. Pawn darting around the side is going to be at least a little bit annoying with these bombs, but that's another Frozen Tomb to land on top of Cuz. Worldender will mitigate that damage, but now he's not offering anything for his team. Not going to go down. Tucson just trying to play in the front line, but there's no reason to do so because the back line is getting penetrated every single time. Deft has a bomb on top of his head, but Teddy flashes forward. It's a couple of crits, and then he goes down. Chrono Shift finally is going to get utilized, but look at that. It's one spell, 2 autos, and he's dead in seconds. SKT will obliterate Kingzone in this game. The Nexus does not last very long. 15,000 gold, the lead. GG'd SKT.
And that was, I think, the most decisive game we've seen in LCK in 2019.